This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network. Welcome to the latest episode of Who's Next. I am Andy Atherton, back with you to break down NXT, catch you up, talk about our favorite brand and well, there's not just, that doesn't refer to just me, it refers to my co-host as well. He is the Mississippi Mud Pie, Logan Crosland. Logan, great to be back here with you after you made the journey up north a little bit to Philly about a month ago, and give us a little live report and continue to break down some NXT. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yes, I did make the journey up north to check out our favorite brand of sports entertainment. So, yeah, had a ton of fun. Looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, it wasn't just for our favorite brand. There was a lot going on. You did attend WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. You did go to. Did you go to WrestleCon?
We did not go to WrestleCon, or I didn't. I think a few of us did, but we went to GCW, and then we went to another show that was the night before that was kind of just an independent. It was called the Mark Hitchcock Memorial Show, so just a bunch of indie guys and some old legends. Sandman may have come out and drank some beers and bashed some skulls with some kendo sticks. So
nice,
good time all around.
So 5 shows in 3 days. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that was the total, I think. Very
cool, very fun. All right, so we're going to change things up just a little bit just for this episode. Since it's been a bit since we had an episode, because, Logan had to get ready to go on his trip up north, crossing over that Mason-Dixon line. So we, are going to do a little bit of a reset, so to speak. We are going to do our normal breakdown of Stand and Deliver. And then after that, we're going to kind of talk about the brand, break it down, because there was the draft, the WWE draft. So there were a number of NXT superstars that were drafted up to Raw and Smackdown. There were some that, may not have gotten drafted that may be a little surprising. We're going to talk about, there was also some releases, and kind of just break down the roster and kind of give a few thoughts on how, kind of where we see them now, where we think they may end up over the next year or so, and kind of just, get back to, it's a time of change. It's a time of new, and all through WWE, we have, WrestleMania. It's usually the culmination of storylines, the end of things. And we have the draft. So now the rosters are all set as of this recording. And we just want to kind of, just get back to basics, and we'll be back on track with our regular breakdown episodes in the next one, hopefully within the next month. All right, cool. So Stand and Deliver. Logan, you were live in attendance. What was the feeling in the room? Because it was a pretty big afternoon. Let's kind of back it up a little bit. What are your thoughts on them having Stand and Deliver earlier in the day, now that WrestleMania looks like it's going to be 2 nights going forward? I don't think they're ever going back to 1. So what do you think? Do you think it should stay where it is? Do you think it should maybe move to Thursday or something? Because, it's a really packed weekend. I mean, you got SmackDown Friday night. Then they do the Hall of Fame after, which I don't necessarily agree with that either, because I think everybody is kind of gassed by then. And I'm all for fans being part of the experience, but I think the Hall of Fame should be more of an intimate setting for the wrestlers and the people getting inducted. And then, of course, then you have Stand and Deliver during the day, and then later on that night you have night 1, and then the next day you have night 2. So it's a jam-packed. It's a scheduling nightmare. I'm kind of glad it's not my job to figure it out. But what are your thoughts on having Stand and Deliver the day of night 1?
Yeah, from a logistics standpoint in Philly, all the stadiums are kind of right next to each other. So for that, it really worked out. It was perfect. We could go to Stand and Deliver, kind of hang around. There were some bars and, restaurants and stuff around the whole complex that we could go to. And there, you could walk a little bit of ways and find some other places as well. I think we had a reservation that day, so we went to another place that was maybe 2 miles from that little complex. But from a logistics standpoint, this year it was great. Everything's kind of just right there together. As we get into the show, I think I'll kind of share some opinions on why I would rather it be on another day. I don't really know where I would put it. Obviously, you can't do Friday because of SmackDown. And I feel like Thursday's kind of too disconnected at that point. So I guess Saturday's really the only time you could do it. But just based on the last at least couple of stand and delivers, like I said, we'll get into it. It's kind of going to be how I talk about some of the matches, so I can't really dive deep into it. I just feel like for some reason it seems like NXT kind of holds back. I don't know if that's to make the main roster look better later in the night or something like that, but there seems to be some kind of disconnect the last couple of years, because it's not that the matches aren't good. They're good. And we even had some great matches early in the card, but I feel like the ones that you expect to be great, that are like bigger matches with more storyline, they seem to kind of, this is like their first match, and I feel like this should be the culmination of stuff, and it just never. I feel like at least the last 2 years it hadn't been that way.
All right, yeah. And next year, so next year it's in Vegas, WrestleMania. Yeah. So you assume Stand Deliver is there. So that's the Pacific time zone. So I mean, if they're going to start WrestleMania at 7 Eastern, which will be 4 o'clock there, right? What time are they going to start Stand Deliver there? Is it going to be like 10 a.m. for them? I mean, that's kind of how it's probably going to work out, which is, look, I'm all for it. It'll still be 1 p.m. here on the East Coast, but for Vegas also being Easter weekend too. So, I mean, it's Saturday, Holy Saturday. Not a lot of people do much on Holy Saturday. Some people, go to church later in the day, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the crowd and because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, got family stuff. Maybe they have little kids. They want to be here for Easter Bunny, things like that. So I understand the why they're moving it. I understand Vegas probably paid them a crap ton of money to have it there. So I don't know. It's one of these things it's kind of like a new thing for us, because we're not used to WWE bucking tradition, right? Yeah. Now that the old man is gone, we're seeing shit you never saw before in terms of like camera angles. Also, with Mr. Dunn being shown the door, camera angles. Yeah. We get different people getting pushed. We got commentary. So it's just such a different feeling, and I kind of don't know what to expect anymore sometimes with some things. So it's a cool time to be a wrestling fan, especially a WWE fan.
Yeah, it's definitely different for sure. They made a big deal about that over the WrestleMania weekend, saying it's a new era. Talking about how Triple H is in charge now. Vince is gone. He's like officially 100% gone now, because I think he sold the rest of his shares, so he's not involved at all. So, but yeah, I mean, they made a big point of that, and it definitely feels different if you just watch the shows. It just how it's presented, and like you said, the camera stuff is a lot different. So, but it gets you excited to see what the future can hold.
All right, cool. All right, so Stand Deliver, had a pretty good card. And the first match, which I don't remember seeing live, it was on the pre-show actually. So it was Joe Gacy versus Shawn Spears, and it starts off with Ridge Holland actually attacking Joe Gacy from behind with a chair during his entrance. The match begins after they check on him. Spears then hammers at Gacy. Joe gets some chops in, a little back and forth with a chainsaw, refusing to stay down. Gacy then with a big belly-to-belly suplex, charging elbow to the floor, and Shawn back suplexes him into the apron. And we get a big hanging DDT from Spears, but Joe kicks out. We get a big rock bottom on Spears, still nothing. Senton on the apron. Shawn with a pedigree back inside for 2. Super kick gets a rolling elbow right hand upside down counter with a punch to the back, slip out the fireman's carry, and then we get Joe Gacy winning via pinfall with the upside down. So I was a little surprised by this result because Sean Spears just returned. He's kind of reestablishing himself. And Joe Gacy is one of those guys that, I don't know, do wins and losses matter with Joe Gacy? Because he's much more of a character than anything. So what are your thoughts on the match? I'm sure how full was the building during this match?
People were still trickling in for sure. We were sitting. We actually had a Keefe in our section with us, and before this match even started, he was screaming across the stadium because you could hear everything because there were the stadium the arena wasn't full yet, of course, but he just screams North-South Connection Podcast Network and was just advertising the podcast feed for the North-South.
Keith Langston, the human bullhorn. There you go.
Yeah, and he was met with a what chant, so he would scream it over and over again, and they would always say what back. It was great. I think there might have been a soundbite of that got thrown around after that happened, but it was hilarious. But yeah, this match kind of surprised me. I considering the two guys, I wasn't too excited heading into it. But it was better than I thought it would be for sure, especially being a pre-show match. These two usually don't get a ton of time, and I felt like they gave this one a decent bit of time, and they did a pretty good job. So I was definitely surprised Gacy won, but I think he might have some bigger things headed for him going forward, maybe on the main roster, but we'll see.
Yeah, the rumor mill is churning. And we will talk about that when we get to the roster breakdown. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So then then we have the main show kicking off actually with the Metaphor video package of them running through tonight's matches, and they have little skits throughout the night. And then our first match is our tag title match. We got Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus the Wolf Dogs, Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker. We get challengers diving on the champions before they even get in the ring. Then we go inside. We get a diving cross body, Axiom and Breaker to start. We get a luchador with a diving cross body, an early near fall. Tags are made. Frazier off the ropes. Boot quick tags trying to cut the big man down. Super kick party. Then we get Braun tagging in, taking charge, side headlock. Axiom shoots him off and he destroys him with a lariat. Then we get a back and forth with Axiom with a deep near fall off the golden ratio on Braun. Then we get a big Frankensteiner, a rebound German suplex, but Corbin catches Axiom on the rebound and rock bottoms him hard to the turnbuckles. Then we get a 450 splash from Nathan Frazier, but Braun kicks out. We get a Phoenix splash, and that can't keep him down either. We get Axiom off the ropes. Baron with the end of days on him sets Nathan up for a spear from Braun Breaker when the Wolf Dogs win via pinfall, retaining the NXT Championship. I really enjoyed the matches that these two teams, because it was speed versus power. Obviously, in this instance, power wins out, but the story doesn't end here with these two, and we'll talk about that after you give your thoughts on the match.
No, yeah, this was great. This is a great way to start. This is definitely a match I would have picked, without a doubt, to start things off. Like you said, power versus speed, and it definitely delivered. Corbin played his role super well. Braun, the dominant force that he always is, ripping people in half with spears and stuff like that. So just super awesome. I was kind of surprised that they retained. Obviously, like you said, we'll talk about that they don't have the belts for long after this, but yeah, I thought everybody brought it in this one, and this was definitely a good way to start the night for sure.
Yeah, I mean, these were such a good pairing of teams, because Frazier, he looks like he gets broken in half. I mean, and they're two smaller guys, so Baron can really hit the deep six and the days on him, and it looks so good. And yeah, I really enjoy these guys. Only thing is, I love them to have a tag team name. I'm a bit. If you have a team that's going to be together for a while, give them a name. Give them. I mean, I know they kind of meld together the songs, but yeah. So not far. Well, I don't know if it was in Tuesday after or the following Tuesday, but we had. I think it was
the episode after.
I think it might have been the episode after. Later, what is time? So And we did have a rematch here, and that was when the Wolf Dogs, Axiom and Nathan Frazier do beat the Wolf Dogs, because you knew Braun was already signed with SmackDown, and then we get, there's a little revisionist history. They really did something there, and then we knew Corbin was probably going to end up going back up to one of the main roster brands. So, and I believe it was this with the help of, no, this wasn't with No Quarter Catch. That was with something else. But, so we have our new tag champions. What do you think of that match and putting the belts on these guys now here and not stand and deliver?
I think that's kind of one of those things, kind of like I was talking about earlier. This match actually delivered, so I can't be too mad at it. But this match was actually really good. The TV match was just as good. It was a great match. It main evented that episode of TV. So I think there was a promo afterwards, but it was the last match. I thought both matches are great. I think, like I said earlier, I think they are kind of trying to save the moments for TV where the things are ended and finished and all that kind of stuff, which I get. You're trying to get more eyes on rematches and kind of bigger spots and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like this show should be the way to finish the year off and start new after this. But it worked out. The team that I thought would be the champions, close to after Stand and Deliver, ended up winning them anyway. So, but I'd probably would have just done it at Stand and Deliver and just let Corbin and Breaker go off on the sunset. But it worked out either way.
Yeah, and give Axiom and Nathan Frazier a bigger live crowd to have their moment in front of. I mean, look, I love the PC. I really enjoy the intimate setting of it, but for something like this, give the guys in the arena. Give it to them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So we move on to our next match, another title match. It is a triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. We got Oba Femi defending against Dijak and Josh Briggs. So we got Dijak and Briggs both going after Femi to start, but he bowls them both over. We get charging uppercuts side to side, but Briggs and Dijak blast past him with stereo big boots. We got a repeated crisscross shoulder blocks working well like a well-oiled machine. They stagger the champion, and they get him out of the ring. Then going to the apron, Dijak blasts Briggs with a super kick, crossbody off the apron, but Femi catches him and uses him to bludgeon Josh out of midair. We get a fireman's carry into a military press drop on both challengers are hurting. Then we get Dijak with some kicks to the champion. Up top, Briggs catches him with a goozle. We get a huge slam off the top to the floor into Oba, who got seated in an office chair. That looked like a pretty wicked spot from on TV. Josh and Oba added in the ring, headlock elbows from the challenger. Goozle, Femi breaks his grip, but Dijak returns and they work together to double choke slam the champion. Double cover, not enough. A little bit of pressure from the challengers. Femi slams both of them in return. Out to the apron with rabbit punches for Briggs. We get elbow. Josh gets him up, back suplex into the apron. Briggs and Dijak back and forth. Josh with a lariat off the turnbuckles. Dijak gets a foot on the ropes. Back inside, we got Femi trading forearms with Briggs from their knees to their feet as Dijak tries to crawl back to his feet. Josh hammering both of them with strikes. Lariat sends Oba to the floor. Dijak with a boot. And we got a hammering, grounded, overhand chops. Briggs with a goozle, but Dijak keeps hitting him. Up kick, Lariat, Dijak with a choke slam. Josh kicks out at one. And we get Dijak with a flip pile driver. Then Briggs will not stay down. We get a fireman's carry. Dijak carries him up the ropes. Oba returns, gets underneath, electric chair, Tower of Doom, cover on Briggs. Dijak barely breaks it up, and we get Femi gets him up for a powerbomb. He floats over, big boot on the champion. Briggs back in and taken out, backbreaker rack. Feast your eyes. Briggs pull referee out of the ring. Dijak with a top rope conjuro over the referee, wiping Josh out, putting Oba into the post. Femi then passes him into the barricade. Briggs puts the champion through the timekeeper's barricade. Feast your eyes on Briggs on the floor. Dijak throws him inside, backbreaker wrap, and then Oba breaks up the pin with a goozle. He gets Dijak up and hits a powerbomb onto Josh Briggs and pins Briggs with a lateral press, retaining the NXT North American Championship. That was a lot of action. It was three big guys really going at it. I thought Oba looked great in this match. Briggs and Dijak brought it as expected. Dijak is a big match guy. When he may not have a lot of like big wins, quote unquote, but when he's in a takeover or a PLE situation, he delivers, right? No pun intended. What were your thoughts on this one? I mean, I wasn't shocked that Femi retained. Although I could have seen Briggs actually winning because I think Dijak was due for to move on to other pastures, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in the arena, Dijak was the most over for sure. I mean, people loved Oba and his power stuff as well, but people were definitely going for Dijak in the arena, which was kind of surprising. But he, like you said, in these situations, he usually delivers. I think this was the best match of the night. I thought they just absolutely beat the crap out of each other. That Tower of Doom electric chair spot where, I think Briggs is on Dijak's shoulders, and then Oba picks both of them up and dumps them. Was unbelievable. It was an absolutely great and ridiculously awesome spot. But yeah, this match was killer. It made everybody look good. Everybody came out of it looking solid. Obviously, Oba retains. That wasn't shocking. I think that was the one title that I thought would probably stay where it was. Going in, so not shocked he retained. I could have seen honestly any of the three of them winning at the same time, but Oba retaining definitely wasn't a surprise. But yeah, this match was the most excited I think the crowd got all morning, and for good reason. I think it was a super exciting match and really killed it with the live crowd.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, if you were to ask most of us, you and me, I think probably would have the same answer. Without telling us the participants for a stand and deliver or a PLE, which match would have the best chance of being the best match or the match of the night, it's usually the North American title. Yeah. Whoever's in that match usually brings their A game, and it's usually a multi-man match. So that's it really delivered on the promise. So all right, so we get Tony D getting Betty ready backstage. We get the Metaphor in their pajamas looking for an interview with the babyface team in our women's trio match. We get Chase U telling them not to interrupt them when they're in the zone. Noam Dar interrupts anyway, and Thea Hale tries to tear his arm off. Move on to our 6-woman tag match, which is Fallon, Henley, Kalani Jordan, and Thea Hale versus Izzy Dame, JC Jane, and Kiana James. All right, so we get the heels lay the babyfaces out before the bell. We get Dame and Henley to start. Izzy with repeated short whips into the turnbuckles. Backbreaker rack connects. Tag to James. Back and forth. Hale in, fired up. Looking to dive, but JC sidesteps and Thea only takes one of the Chase U boys out at ringside. Quick tags. Working Hale over. Soon enough, she tags Jordan in, and she comes in with a bunch of acrobatic offense. Drop kick sends Dame to the floor. Handspring into a reverse STO. Kalani up top. Kiana runs interference, and Izzy tags back in, slamming her face into the mat a few times. Big hip toss, cover for 2. We get the heat segment rolling on. Kalani gets away, tag to Fallon, and she's in, lighting Kiana up. Bulldog dropkick combo, striking away on Izzy. Face breaker connects. JC runs in and eats a spin out. X Factor, heel kick from Dame. Up top, Kiana gets the Spanish fly, so close. Everybody to the floor. We get Jordan with a moonsault into everybody. Jasmine Nix takes her out with a kick. Hale tags in. JC tries to run away and tag out, but nobody's there. Trading forearms and paintbrushing slaps. Jane takes her down with a big boot. Duck a discus lariat. Luthez press connects. Big elbow exploder suplex. Dame tags in, but she gets caught in the double wrist lock. It's over. And the faces, Fallon Henley, Kalani Jordan, and Thea Hale win via submission with a double wrist lock from Thea on Izzy Dame. It was a fun match. I thought all the ladies worked hard. The baby faces I had a feeling were going to go over because of everything that had been happening storyline wise with them. So what are your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, the crowd was kind of dead for this one just because, you're asking a lot of people that probably don't watch NXT on a regular basis know who all 6 of these girls are. Plus, it followed the match before. The match before was got the crowd real hyped. So this is going to be a natural cool down match for the crowd at least. But no, I think the girls delivered. Again, no pun intended. I did have too high expectations for this match, but I think they kind of won the crowd back in towards the end. And I think all 6 of these girls really gave it their all. It wasn't like a 4-star classic or anything, but a solid 2.5 is about all you could ask for a match kind of like this, and I think it definitely delivered on that.
Yeah, got the 6 ladies on the show. It was fun. You knew there was going to whoever followed the North American title match, it was going to be the cool down, the go get a beer, go use the bathroom match. Usually, it's not a result of who is in it. It's just the placement on the card.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we get a teaser video quoting Nietzsche, however you say his name, the philosopher. Philosophizer, dude. We get our GM, Ava Rain, talking about how great the women of NXT are. And says soon they're going to crown an NXT Women's North American Championship. So who called that we need a secondary women's title? And I'm hoping we get a women's Intercontinental and a women's U.S. title, because the girls the women are performing so much, but there's only so many storylines you could do without having a title. And the secondary title is really for your, up and comers usually for your up and comers. Sometimes, they do elevate it, based on who has it at times, but it's usually your top, your mid to top mid card performers. And I think given the women, because the tag titles are kind of, the booking of it is suspect as usual, but having the one title on each brand for the women, the ladies need something else to fight for. So what were your thoughts when you heard that announced?
Yeah, I definitely got excited. I definitely thought of you when they announced it, because I knew you had been calling for it for sure. And even as it went to Mania, there was a point when I think Pierce and Aldis came out. I think they ended up just announcing the attendance or something like that. I can't really remember exactly what they came out and did, but I think it had something to do with announcing the attendance. But I kind of bumped. I think Schiff was sitting next to me that night. I think I bumped him and it was like, they're about to announce the women's IC and the women's US titles, and he was like, "Oh, is that something that might happen?" I said, "Well, they did the US or did the North American at NXT, so." But obviously that didn't end up happening. I think they might see how this works, having a mid card title kind of on NXT, and if it does, and it can be put to good use and have good storylines going around it, I think they'll probably think about doing it on the main roster for sure.
Yeah,
but
more tournaments.
Yeah,
whatever.
Tournaments, yeah.
We all love those.
Yeah.
So we get a shot of the crowd, and something that happens at a lot of stand delivers. We have William Regal, but who is he sitting next to? None other than Julia, the most recent big name signee for NXT on the women's side. I remember they did this with Asuka. They did this. I'm trying to remember who else. I do remember. It's blanking. Like, I'm trying to think in my head. Like, was it Finn? Was it? There was a lot of people that
Drew was one of them. I know. That was it. That was in Orlando because I was at that one. Mm-hmm. I remember him being front row.
Yeah, they've done that a bit. So, what were your reactions to seeing Julia? Because it's kind of at times now we almost have not a war or a competition between WWE and AEW, but it's kind of like, where is so and so going to sign? Where is this person going to end up? And we've had AEW, to their credit, has signed some really top names that you don't. A lot of them you probably wouldn't imagine in WWE, although it wouldn't shock me. But they're giving them, I guess, they're being a little more. I don't know. They're giving more concessions to them, like Will Ospreay, like he's being allowed to, travel every week. I'm sure they're picking up the dimes, and the guy's getting a shit ton of miles. He wants to live in England, but he's going to wrestle here, a couple times a week. So, hey, more power to the guy. But there have been rumors about Julia for a while. So, what are your thoughts on her signing?
Yeah, like you said, there have been rumors that she was definitely going to sign at some point. I think I kept reading that it was going to be further on in the future because she had some more dates she kind of had to commit to in Japan and stuff like that. So I wasn't expecting her to be in NXT. Once she showed up, I was like, oh, well, that means it's pretty official that she signed. But I think, like I said, she still has some dates to kind of cover that were on her contract with. I think she's with Stardom, kind of, just and works with a few different organizations in Japan over there. But I think she had some dates left that she had to kind of cover. But excited to see her come in. What I've seen of her has been really good, so I'm excited to see what she can do with this roster.
All right, so we're on to our next match, which is for the NXT Women's Championship. Lyra Valkyria defending against Roxanne Perez. And we get Valkyria in control early, side headlock, shot off, drop down, catch her in a fireman's carry, but Perez slips out, duck the reverse roundhouse kick, circling champion with a go behind. Perez grabs the arm, wrist lock, bending her down, shot off, shoulder block, challenger, kicking dirt off the mat, off the ropes. Lyra cartwheels through, big hip toss, sets up an elbow, whip across. Roxanne blocks a second hip toss. Backhammer, hammerlock. We get Valkyria slips out and slings her through the ropes. Off the ropes, hesitation, drop kick connects. Back inside, drop a knee on the elbow, arm wringer into a divorce court. Then we got charging uppercut, side Russian leg sweep, maintaining wrist control, and slamming the champion's arm into the mat. Working her arm over in the corner, back to the wrist lock, bicep stomp, dodge, schoolboy for two, drop toe hold, ode to an arm breaker. We get a hammerlock Northern Light suplex, and we get an old school seated cross armbar. Lyra clasps her hands briefly, but Roxanne gets full extension, stomping at her ribs, keeping the hold locked in. Valkyria fights to her feet and stomps her way free. Perez then puts her shoulder first into the post with a second try, gets reversed. We get an O'Connor roll cover for two, then a cross body off the top, step over arm lock. Lyra rolls away, back body drop connects off the ropes, double cross body, and both women are down and out. Back and forth, Northern Lights rolling into a second one, a third fisherman suplex. Still no, up top jockeying position, back down, Liger bomb. Then we get pop rocks, Lyra kicking out. We get Perez furious about it, throwing the champion into the post a few times, punches in the corner, referee warns her off, and here comes Tam Paxley to gently hold Lyra's hand. Roxanne kicks her off the apron. Valkyria barely avoids a stomp to the wrist over the ropes and clubs away at Roxanne. We get Perez passing her into Tatum, then hammerlocks her into the post. We get a La Mystica into a crossface. Lyra kicks out, reverse roundhouse kick. We get Lyra off the top, nobody home. She's trapped in the crossface, reversed. Then we get Pop Rocks blocked. Perez with a Poison Frankensteiner into a Pop Rocks into another go at the crossface. Lyra is reaching desperate. Roxanne rolls her back into the ring, struggling, clawing at Roxanne's arm to no avail. And Roxanne Perez wins via submission, becoming your new NXT Women's Champion. This was a fun match. I did enjoy it. I was not surprised to see Roxanne win. I had a feeling she's really been, performing well in the heel role. And I think Lyra's, her title, run was kind of okay. It was, maybe vanilla could be she did get the rub, winning it from Becky. She is over with the crowd, but I just felt like there wasn't a lot of meat on the bones of this title reign. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was a fun match, and I'm excited to see the heel Roxanne champion this time, and not the cute little plucky baby face. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this match was it was definitely good. I think it could have been maybe a little bit better in spots, but I definitely think it was a solid match. I think it's kind of like like you said with Lyra's title reign, it never seemed to reach that next level, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Vanilla is a good word, I guess, that you use to describe her title reign.
Nothing wrong with vanilla ice cream, by the way. I love vanilla ice cream, but it was still
it was fine.
It's that's what it is. It's not exciting. It's good, but it's not like exciting. It's not thrilling. It's it's good.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of she hasn't had the the greatest crop of opponents either, since she won it either. I think, like we've kind of talked about in the past, every division kind of goes through a flux at some point. So when you had Becky as the champ, you had recently lost Tiffany, so you kind of lost a couple of top stars there. So she, if she's not fighting Roxanne, she's fighting a lot of these new girls, which the new girls are fine. Some of the new girls are fine, but they're still new and still young and still, rookies to a point. So, but yeah, Roxanne, I think is a great choice to kind of take it off of her in this new heel role. She plays it very well. Definitely was surprised by the submission victory. Or the fact that she won by submission. I was surprised. She had been using the crossface going in, so I guess I should have more seen it coming, but I just figured Lyra wasn't going to be one to tap, so figured she'd surprise her with pop rocks or something if she ended up winning. But yeah, the match was pretty good. I think they kind of started hot. The women, the women's 6-man kind of over delivered. And I think this is kind of when it starts to tail off and not be as good as I thought it could be the rest of the show. So, but we'll get into the next 2 matches as well.
All right, cool. All right, so our next match is for the NXT Championship. Is Ilya Dragunov defending against Tony D. We get a feeling out, ducking each other's lariats to start. Double lariats, both men are down and out. Dragunov with a waistlock, German suplex. D'Angelo pries his grip apart, working the hand and then dropping the champion with a right hand. Big forearm cover for 2. Up into the turnbuckles, jockeying for position. Both men collapse and crash to the floor. Back inside, rolling German suplexes from the champion. Tony breaks his grip, punches him in the neck, but Ilya pops back up with an enziguri. Running knee off the ropes, a second knee, cover for 2. Powerbomb out of the turnbuckles. Tony's hurting. Dragunov gets a second win, feed up to block the H-bomb. Ilya then stops Stacks from running interference, chops to the corner, face washes, follow. Dragunov has a handful of Tony's hair, and Stacks wants to give him knucks, but D'Angelo gives him a look, and he stops short. The Don with a headbutt, mounted punches, Ilya with chops. D'Angelo hits a belly-to-belly suplex. Waistlock, Dragunov breaks free, fresh roundhouse kick off the ropes for momentum, but Tony takes him down with a huge lariat. Another suplex, another near fall, up top, jockeying for position, belly-to-belly superplex, and Dragunov falls to the floor. Tony after him, trading wild punches, powerbomb lift, Ilya takes him down, H-bomb on the floor. Then Tony on the announce table, Dragunov on the barricade, H-bomb off the barricade through the announce desk, back inside, cover, the Don kicks out, missile dropkick countered into a powerbomb, but you can't keep the Tsar down, stomps to the hands and the neck, big rock bottom, still no. Fisherman Buster countered into an inside cradle, only for 2. Headbutt from the champion. Torpedo Moscow connects off the top ropes with an H-bomb, and it's over. And Dragunov wins via pinfall with an avalanche H-bomb, retaining the NXT Championship. I enjoyed this match. I thought the build was pretty good. They didn't have a lot of time, but I did enjoy it. Part of me, a little bit of me, thought Tony D might pull it out, only because he's been featured so much. And Dragunov's time on the NXT brand, we had been talking about that. We didn't think there was much more for him to do on NXT, and there were a lot of potential coming of matchups that we would like to see on Raw and or SmackDown. So I enjoyed the match. I do kind of agree with you that it seemed like it was a little bit, under where it could have gotten to. But still, it was a fun match. What were your thoughts on it live and on how it went?
Yeah, the match was good, and don't get anything I say the rest of the show as the matches weren't good or anything like that. This didn't hit that like Dragunov level. Like Dragunov has a PLE level that I kind of expect him to get to. And Tony's not the greatest in-ring worker, I won't say, but I definitely think he brought it a good bit in this match. I just don't know if I don't really know if their styles really are compatible either. But Ilya, he went out there and killed himself like he always does, just throwing everything he has into every match and every move. Everything he hits is with so much force. And he's so unbelievable in how he performs. But I don't think that this match quite hit the level that like the Trick matches and the Mello matches have hit in the past. Which, like I said again, Tony D's not Mello or Trick in the ring. I don't think they'll ever be compared. I don't think that would ever be an argument anybody would have. But I think Tony D did good here. But it just didn't hit that next level that I think a Ilya match usually does. But again, it was good. But just not that great level, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. Dragunov looks like he's been through the ringer after every match so. Yeah, he's quite the performer, quite the emoter. I really do enjoy the guy. I'm kicking myself for not having watched NXT UK as much back in the day. So to have really gotten to see him and Walter or Gunter in their battles over there. Okay, so we got the metaphor.
It's on the cock, so I mean you can always go back.
Yeah, it's on the cock. So here we go. So the metaphor in the ring to announce the attendance, which was 16,545, and move on to our main event. It's not often that there's not a title match to main event, stand and deliver. So we get Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams. There must be a winner. We get a waistlock standing switch, leg pick. Hayes walks him over and then kicks dirt at his face. We get off the ropes, flip over, paintbrush Williams. Trick unloads on him, sent to the floor, pulling Carmelo out after him, dunking his face into the apron, fighting out into the crowd. Hayes gets in the face of somebody wearing a Trick Willie shirt and gets back body drop, clean over the barricade and back into the ring. Back to the ringside, sorry. And then on the apron, kick from Mello. He wants Trick back in the ring. Duck a leg lariat, springboard, back elbow, basement drop kick. Williams blocking punches and throwing his own. Whip across, pop-up counter. Hayes springboards right into the haymaker, kick combo, back elbow from Trick. Both men hanging in the ropes, stereo drop kicks, and both men are down and out. Trading elbows from their knees into their feet. Williams takes control. Leg lariat sets up a flapjack, and he's fired up. Corkscrew kick countered into a La Mystica. Then we get Mello goes up top, off the top rope, bookend countered by Williams. Lands a jumping neck breaker and a big boot. We get back to the floor, springboard lariat into the ruined announce table. And we get back inside a flog splash. Trick Willie won't stay down, charging in, caught by a code breaker, only a near fall. Hayes sitting on the bottom rope, considering his next move, unwrapping the tape at his right wrist, but Trick blocks him from choking. And we with the tape, and we get an accidental ref bump, Stinger splash. Hayes chops blocks him and goes to the floor for a plunder, coming up with steel chair. Back inside, Trick grabs the chair, rams it into his midsection, wailing overhead blows, and the ref wakes up and takes the chair. Then we get Hayes hitting him with the right in the mummy daddy buttons, and we get Mello drawing him up, drawing at him. Trick slaps the taste out of his mouth, sidesteps the knee, and the ref gets knocked to the floor off the top. Nothing but net. Trick Williams kicks out. Carmelo with the chair, ref takes it from him. Then we get off the ropes with Trick hitting the jumping knee and getting the big victory over the pinfall over his former best friend, Carmelo Hayes, to close out the show. So I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's funny is now thinking back, you could definitely see that they probably went at about like 80% where they probably, if it wasn't, WrestleMania, we might have gotten a little more out of this match, but it was still good. It was finally the conclusion of a very long, drawn-out, long-term storyline here that showed a lot of great, writing and ability and all that stuff, great matches. And, yeah, I thought it was a solid show, and this was a solid main event. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely a solid main event. This is one that definitely felt like it didn't quite get to that next gear. It definitely, when it hit the knee, I was definitely expecting it to maybe go a few more minutes. So it almost felt like they went home a little early. I don't really think they did. I think they were trying to establish, Trick's finisher, the big knee, big running knee, as a kind of deadly finisher that if he hits it, it's over. I think that's what they were trying to do in hindsight, but it definitely felt like it could have gone on another few minutes, or 3 or 4 more minutes, and had a few more kickouts and stuff like that. That would have been the usual NXT formula. But yeah, I think this one definitely had another gear in it. Obviously, they have the cage match a few weeks later. I think it's a couple weeks later after this, that I think was honestly better. But I don't think Sean is in the back saying, hey, don't give it your all. Don't give 100%. Don't make WrestleMania look bad. But there's something I just don't know how to describe it, I guess. But it seems like they kind of hold back on this show to make sure that WrestleMania comes off as the better show for the day, which now granted, night one of WrestleMania was the worser of the two nights as well. So I don't really know if it worked this time, but there's definitely something about the LA stand and deliver, because I felt like Braun and Carmelo's match last year didn't really hit that next gear either. It definitely felt like something was missing, and I kind of felt that with this as well. And even, the year before that in Dallas, Ziggler ends up retaining the NXT championship, and Braun wins it the next night the Monday afterwards on Raw. So I don't think, like I said, I don't think Sean's in the back saying, hey, give 80% in this match, but there's definitely something up or missing, or something is being passed along to like, hey, we need to make the main roster show look better on the day. But that's just a thing that I feel like I've noticed, but I'm probably just paying way too much attention to it.
Maybe it could be because a lot of these matches, there was still more to come.
Yeah, that's true.
I might have mistakenly said that this was the end of the feud, but yeah, I had forgotten about the cage match. Mm-hmm. We get a little bit more with Roxanne and Lyra. I mean, it doesn't, it's not the be all end all, it seems like. So
I guess my thing is, I feel like it should be like that should be the end. Like if Melo's going out, he's out. After this, like he's going to the draft, he's done. If Ilya's gonna lose the title, and obviously there was extenuating circumstances with that one, but if Ilya's gonna lose the title, do it now. Obviously he can't lose it to who he loses it to, because they don't face each other, but I don't know. I just feel like this should be the finale of the year, and this is when things should be paid off. Like if you're going to do two matches, do it the month earlier and have the other person win or whatever. But just a nitpick. But
we're allowed.
Yeah,
that's our opinion. We cover the damn brand, for crying out loud. We're allowed to be negative once in a while. We can. It's not all sunshine and roses, people. Hey, we're not true NXT. They can't do nothing wrong. No, they can do plenty of things wrong. Trust us, and we'll call it out when they do.
And it wasn't even a bad show. It was a good show. I enjoyed myself. I just could see somebody that's not a diehard NXT person being like, "Oh, that was all right," But I thought it was a good show, and like I said, some of the matches were better that they did on TV afterwards. But I definitely think it was a solid show, no doubt.
Yeah, were you guys doing the Booker T when Trick was coming out? I know somebody in the group had to have been doing it.
Yeah, I believe me and Sean were both doing it, because that is the only thing Sean Kidd likes.
I was going to say,
that is the only thing he likes about Booker T. He said that's the best thing he's done in his career. So me and him were doing the what? Okay,
I like it. Yeah, I mean, I love going to these events with D'Amato too, because I remember, with him when the Street Profits at 25 at Takeover 25, and then also with when we went to Deadline with Trick. So yeah, Johnny loves getting into those guys, so it's a lot of fun. All right, so that's it for kind of breakdown of a show. There have been a couple of episodes since then, but we're actually going to skip over those for now, and we will pick up with the one that is airing as we're recording here on May 7th. So our next episode, stay tuned for that. All right, so we just had the 2024 draft with NXT was involved, although NXT did not get to make any picks, which I kind of I'm it would be cool, but I kind of think like, they would not be taking anybody that that you would think, if it would go, if you're drafting and they start taking people like, the OC or whoever, you're like, what? Why would they take them when so and so, is on the board? When, the whoever, the Street Profits, Bianca, whatever, whoever may be on the board. But I can I see just how they're involved with just having eligibility in it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go over. Well, first we'll start with the call-ups to Raw, which saw Kiana James, Dijak, Lara Valkyria, and Ilya Dragunov. I did enjoy how they presented it at the PC with them all sitting there, and they broke kayfabe, which I'm fine with, especially when it comes to people getting called up.
Yeah.
Kiana James, I was a little surprised, but when you think about it, there's she's been there a while. I think her and Tiffany probably started around the same time in that class. I think Fallon was also in that one as well. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on Kiana getting called up? Because it's kind of interesting to see what they do with. We'll talk about her as we get through the breakdown. But Izzy, what are your thoughts on Kiana going up? How do you think she's going to fare?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I was definitely kind of surprised by that one. Like you said, if she's not going to be the champion, she's kind of, done it all. She's kind of faced everybody. I was kind of surprised, considering, she was paired with kind of a younger, more up and comer with Izzy. I was kind of surprised they, basically split them up by having them be on separate shows now. But yeah, that one was the most surprising one for me for sure.
And she was the first one too.
Yeah, she was the first. Yeah, definitely, she was the first one. That's right. But I think she could have some success. I think she's somebody that could very much be better used, and maybe get over a little better if there was that mid card title on the main roster as well for the women. I don't see her contending for the world or the WWE Women's Championship anytime soon, but she could be a bit player. You kind of be the young girl that maybe the veterans get a win over here and there, but I don't see her ascending towards the top of the card anytime soon. But hopefully she'll put in her reps and she can be there eventually. But I think she's one of those that could definitely benefit from maybe there being more belts.
All right. Dijak got called back up. His second time going to be on the main roster. That was, it wasn't on TV though. It was like one of those picks that came down the pike afterwards. Mm-hmm. I believe. I think it was after SmackDown. I think that happened. I'm excited. I mean, I would love to see him in a big man tag team. Mm-hmm. But the guy, again, what else is there for him to do down there? He could definitely be somebody I can see contending for a mid card title before long. So I'm excited to see him back on there, and this time, with a better character and hopefully and booked better. So what do you think about Dijak?
Yeah, he doesn't immediately get sandbagged with the idea that he's in a shitty ass group that they have no plans for. Yeah, no, like we said earlier, if you put him on a big stage in a match with I don't even think he necessarily needs another guy that is really good. I think he can kind of bring up some guys. He's that good. So I think if you give him a big stage, he'll deliver every time. So I'm excited to see how they use him, where they use him, kind of how what they do with him in the long run. Like you said, I think you could definitely see him contending for a mid card title. Maybe not necessarily winning it anytime soon, but I could definitely see him having some great matches with like the Sammys of the world, mm-hmm. And KO's on SmackDown, but you know what I mean, like those kind of guys. I could see him definitely having some good matches with.
Yeah, throw him in there with like what's happening right now with like with Chad Gable, Sammy, yeah. With I was gonna say Jonah, but what's his face?
Bronson Reed.
Yeah, Bronson Reed. All right, so we got Lyra Valkyria going up to Raw as well. Not surprised here. Not much more for her to do down in NXT. I think she's ready. She's not going to hit that really superstar status off the bat. I think she's going to have to pay some dues. Mm-hmm. I mean, being on the same brand as Becky will help her, I think, because she will probably be aligned with Becky at times. So yeah, definitely excited to see what she could do. Hopefully she kind of changes up her finisher, though. That's my hope for her. I don't love her. I don't love little people having the smaller people having splashes as finishers, because it just does not come off as believable. And I know it's wrestling is quote unquote fake or predetermined, what have you. But I do want a little bit of realism, a little bit. And you can't have this, 5'2", 115, 20-pound woman, splashing people and expecting them to stay down. So, what are your thoughts on Lyra coming up to Raw?
Yeah, and I feel like just as soon as we lose her on NXT, she started kind of hitting the roundhouse kick a little better.
Yeah,
still didn't look great, but I think she started hitting a little better kind of towards the end of her NXT run here. They've kind of already presented her. They had her come help Becky after she got attacked last night by Damage Control, so they're already kind of presenting her towards the top of the card. Maybe she's not going to win a lot of those matches up there, but obviously already presenting her with Becky, so I think she could have some success out of the gate. I don't think she's going to be winning any titles or anything like that, but obviously a pairing with Becky will never be a bad thing. Maybe they, maybe once Becky loses the world title, maybe they tag for a little bit. Maybe she ends up turning on her and they have some matches, but they definitely see something in her for sure. But yeah, definitely needs to lock in on a submit or a better finisher, maybe a submission of some sort. But definitely needs to shy away from the it's not even a big splash, I say, but definitely needs to shy away from the splash and the roundhouse kick unless she's going to continue to hit it on a good pace.
All right, and then the final call up to Raw, Ilya Dragunov. No surprise there. We're really excited to see him on there with some of the potential opponents he has. I mean, he's already had his first match on there in the King of the Ring qualifying tournament. So, the guy goes all out. I mean, he had that match with him and Ricochet was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. He busted open. I mean, he looks gas at the end of every match, which we were just talking about. But I'm glad to see him go over to Raw, because I think he's got some better matchups to start with there, especially with Gunther being over there. So very excited to see Dragunov. No brainer. So what do you think?
Oh no, yeah, 100%. Yeah, he was a definite. When they announced that the draft was when it was, you obviously probably saw him losing the NXT title to someone. Yeah, I mean, he's a no-brainer. Already had a great match with Ricochet. I'm assuming he'll continue to have great matches in that King of the Ring tournament. Maybe matching up with Gunther in the semifinals. So, yeah, it's super excited for his future, because, like I said, he has that level on PLEs, and it's super exciting to see him hit it a lot of the time. So,
all right. So we had a few go to SmackDown. Another thing too was they claim that Braun was drafted to Raw from NXT, but he had just signed with SmackDown. Right? Did something like that happen?
Yeah. He definitely signed a big SmackDown contract. They made a big deal about it, and then obviously he gets drafted to Raw. After he quote unquote signed with SmackDown, he still performed with NXT as long as they had the tag titles, and then obviously once they lost it to Axiom and Nathan Frazier, he bailed, or he just kind of disappeared. He didn't really perform on SmackDown either or anything like that. But definitely weird to see them make a big deal about him signing, and then nope, I'm on Raw.
Yeah. All right. Also, a foregone conclusion: Carmelo Hayes drafted to SmackDown. He had never really, I think, officially signed with SmackDown. But good signing, right brand for him, I think, to start off. Had a really good match with Cody on his first official night, I guess, or right after he had been drafted, because I think he was a first round choice. But yeah, no, he's going to be on there. I like his little exchange with Bobby Lashley, where he comes in this cocky kid, and Bobby was kind of like, you better know your place, man, kind of thing. Like kid, you got a lot to learn here. So what do you think about Carmelo on SmackDown?
Yeah, you need to know your place, so I'll put you in it. But no, yeah, he's already been presented pretty well. He had the match with Cody, like you said. It was pretty good. And yeah, obviously he's kind of they're kind of locking him in with Lashley possibly. So that could be an interesting match and a good feud for him to kind of start on the main roster. So yeah, he's a star. He'll be a star for as long as he wants to be. And I'm excited for his future for sure.
All right. So now we got Baron Corbin going back up to SmackDown. The guy performs. I mean, he does whatever's asked, and he does it well. Hits those like his two big moves, which I love, and hopefully he'll be having a good run there.
Yeah, he seems to be SmackDown for life. Anytime he's on the main roster, it seems like he's always on SmackDown. So, but yeah, he's one of those that I wouldn't have mind kind of staying down in NXT. I'm not sad to lose him, I guess, per se, but he had done a lot of good stuff. He had been in the tag. That was a lot of fun, a lot more fun than you might have thought going in, seeing the two guys that paired together. But they made something good out of it. And before that, he had some good singles match with Ilya. I think he had a couple of matches with Carmelo. But yeah, I mean, as long as he was in NXT, he killed it. He helped the younger guys. I feel like he's probably the shining example of being on the main roster, understanding that you can help and go down and do stuff like that. I think the New Day did a good job of that a few years ago as well, but Corbin definitely did a solid job, making the NXT brand look a lot better. He left it in a better place than when he got there. So, but yeah, I mean, him being on SmackDown's, it should work out. I think he'll have some good matches, but I'm sad to see him go.
Yeah. All right, and then the final one was Blair Davenport. I was a little surprised. Not as surprised as the Kiana pick, but Blair, she's done well. I mean, she had that heel thing with they kind of used her to be like the foil to cover up some of these injuries, and I think she's gonna do well. She's one of those that you think about like Alexa Bliss, right? Alexa Bliss did some really good stuff, never won any titles in NXT. But then she, really put it together on the main roster. So I'm not saying that she'll reach the heights of Alexa Bliss, but definitely I think there's a big upside to her. So what are your thoughts on Blair Davenport going up to SmackDown?
Yeah, Zane, she's kind of a veteran. She's been around a while. She was in AEW for a little bit. She was in NXT UK for a little bit. Been in NXT in America for a good bit now as well. So I think she's definitely like with Kiana. If you're not going to give her the belt, she kind of needs to be doing something bigger. I definitely don't. I definitely wasn't as surprised by that one. I mean, when they said her name, I was like, oh well, that could be interesting. But yeah, I mean, she's a veteran of the game, so I wasn't surprised at all.
All right. Any surprises on people not getting called up? I mean, the only ones I could really think of, Briggs may have had a shot at getting called up. Roxanne, even though she's the NXT Women's Champion, she could have been called up, but I think she's got a little bit more to do as a heel champion down there. And the other one was Gallus. I could definitely see Gallus coming up and kind of being like Drew's kind of cronies, like running buddies. But we'll see. Anybody you think that should have been called up that wasn't?
Yeah, the Tony D family, I could have seen maybe coming up. They've kind of done everything I think they probably can do at this point. I wouldn't bring Rizzo up. I would probably kind of leave her down to kind of get more experience. But Stax and Tony D, I mean, they've been tag champions. With Tony D not winning the belt at Stand and Deliver, I don't think they're really going to give him the NXT title. So, but I mean, they may be a call up here and more in the near future whenever they call up the next round of people. But they were somebody I could have seen. I definitely thought of Gallus. They it was revealed after WrestleMania they were kind of really involved with helping train The Rock to get back in the ring. So just as kind of a reward for that, I could see them kind of getting called up. Plus, again, they've won the tag titles. They're not competing for the NXT Championship or North American Championship, so they could definitely be some cronies for a top star like Drew, like you said.
Yeah.
So
they could still show up. I mean, just because somebody wasn't drafted doesn't mean they're not showing up.
Exactly.
What was I about to say? And I totally lost my train of thought because I have the Rangers Hurricanes on, and somebody just went to the goal to the nuts. So right to the goalpost. Oh boy, on the Hurricanes. Don't worry, Ranger fans, fellow Ranger fans. But yeah, I mean, for the only thing that worries me about the D'Angelo family is that I hope it plays the mafia gimmick plays to the main roster crowd. I agree with you about Rizzo. Maybe, it could be a situation like when they brought up Enzo and Cass and they left Carmella, back down in NXT. So for a bit to kind of keep improving, I could definitely see that happening. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. So also what tends to happen is there are releases. So the first one we'll talk about is probably the biggest name that, and somebody asked about it during the press conference post Backlash. It was like the last question about Drew Gulak being released, which the rumor was he was being released. Triple H said his contract was just not renewed because of some allegations that Ronda Rousey had made about him, pulling down her sweatpants or string on her sweatpant backstage a few years ago when she was under contract. And then also recently reports have come out how he was kind of worked stiff on some people, I think, and was not exactly well liked backstage. I could kind of see him being like an old school kind of guy there, but so, and how he was written off television was that the family took care of him, for the No Quarter Catch Crew, which I thought was pretty hysterical. This was before, it was after the Ronda stuff came out, but before it was known that he was going to be no longer with the company. But what do you think of Gulak and his run and now his release? Because he was a guy I think that I could have seen him being like a player coach for a while.
Yeah, I kind of think that's what he's been doing a lot more than being on TV and wrestling a lot. I think he's kind of become that player coach. But apparently he was kind of an asshole. Maybe build him on a lower scale. Kind of a real prick to deal with. But the Ronda stuff, I don't know what to believe with her anymore. In this day and age, I'm going to take her word for it that it happened and it was, something that should have been kind of dealt with, at that point. But he's not a huge loss. I think he has been kind of a player coach for a while, like I said. But he wasn't doing too much on TV, and he's a good wrestler, but he's not ever going to be somebody that ascends past a certain point. He's been with the company since 205 Live started. I don't remember if he was in the Cruiserweight Classic, but he was definitely involved immediately after that, if not. So I mean, he's been around for 7, 8, 9 years at this point. So wow. I think he kind of ascended to the point that he could, and he was never going to be more than kind of what he was right before he left. So not a huge loss, but he could have been a coach for a long time after that. But obviously he pissed the wrong person off. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. This one was a little surprising. Von Wagner getting released because they were trying to do stuff. Nothing really stuck with him. Yeah. But I guess he's one of those guys that maybe we'll see him back if he goes and he gets better somewhere else. I mean, I thought he was okay. Maybe there's some potential there, but I didn't connect with him at all. I didn't sympathize for his stuff. I would just like to have seen him be like, a big man as a heavy to start off like a Diesel and then eventually, get more in the ring. But he's still young. Maybe he'll come back. What were you thinking about Von Wagner getting released?
Yeah, they almost made him too human at certain points, which is a weird thing to say, I guess. But he should have, yeah, like you said, been a silent killer. Been somebody's heavy. His job is to come in, not talk too much, and just beat the shit out of people. I think that was when he was at his best, when he was doing the powerbomb stuff through the table. They tried to give him too much of a character at certain points, and I think, you know, he can't help how he talks, but he's like a Jack Swagger type. Like you can only take him so seriously with like a lisp and kind of Vaughn's accent that he has. Like again, he can't help that. That's where he was born. That's how he sounds. That's how he that's what he kind of grew up around. So you can't get too mad at that, but that definitely held him back. I feel like to a certain point because he just couldn't cut great promo, and I just don't think he's a great promo or ever will be, but. I don't think they put him in positions to be as good as he could be. I think he should have been, I don't know who you could have paired him with, but he should have been somebody's like bodyguard, ass kicker that comes in and takes out whoever the heel that he's with. That would have been a better role for him. He could get better and come back, but we'll see. I think he always has that advantage of being a legacy guy. He's obviously one of the Beverly Brothers kids, so he has that in his back pocket.
All right. The next one is a guy we hadn't really seen on TV for a while, but he was kind of a name. He had been there for a bit. Zion Quinn. I know he's married to Harley Cameron over in AEW, which I'm guessing he is probably going to sign there once his no compete is up. Anything on Zion Quinn?
Not really. I think he actually got drafted to Raw like in the last draft, not the one that just happened, but the one before that. Literally never used him. I don't think. I think he may have gotten squashed once by somebody, but I mean, they'd never really used him a lot in NXT, and he was one of those that was like, really? He's kind of like an Odyssey Jones. Like Odyssey Jones is technically on Raw as well. But they've literally like never used him, so I don't really know what the point of calling him up was.
Yeah. Another guy that was released kind of quietly because I didn't remember seeing him until I was that he was released on the research I did for this list here was Boa. Boa was a guy, I guess, Xia Li also got out, so there's 2/3 of that whatever that angle was they were going for, that mystical Chinese angle they were trying to do a few years ago. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I really don't have much to say about Boa. I only saw him maybe once or twice compete. You probably a little more familiar with him. Anything?
Nah, he's kind of like Xia Li. I think they tried with him a few times and it just never clicked for whatever reason. Who would have thought that Wendy Chu, who played like the demon queen or whatever she was supposed to be, that she would be the one left out of that crew. But yeah, not too much to say about him. He's been around for a minute and they just never really found what they wanted to do with him. And obviously, hopefully he goes on and has success elsewhere. I can't get my words out. Hopefully he has success elsewhere, but we'll see, I guess.
All right. Next one is Valentina Feroz, who, a little surprised there. I mean, she was in that tag team, and I thought they were actually starting to get better, get a little momentum with, Yulissa Leon, and who had asked for her release last year. And now Feroz is gone. She's another one that, she's young. We could see her come back. She's somebody that may show up in Ring of Honor or Impact or even AEW. And anything on Feroz? I mean, they were doing stuff a little bit with her with Elektra, yeah. So for a bit.
Yeah, kind of once they dropped that, I think Lola came in and kind of took her spot. I think that was kind of supposed to be for her, and then Lola kind of ended up being Elektra's buddy. But yeah, once Yulissa Leon kind of asked for a release, I actually didn't know that until you told me that the other day. Once they got rid of her, and I think Yulissa was the one that got hurt, and she had
been out for a long time.
Yeah, and then they tagged for a little bit more, and then she asked for a release. But kind of once that happened, they didn't really use Valentina that much past the Elektra stuff. So I just think she's somebody they didn't have a lot of stuff for. Maybe she wasn't quite as, as far along in her, development as some of the other girls that they were using. So, but, like you said, she's young. She'll probably pop up in an AEW ROH. They have a ton of girls and a ton of spots in those women's divisions that can be filled up. So hopefully she lands on her feet and has some success.
All right. This one was a little bit of a shock too. Trey Bearhill, because they were starting to do a little bit with him. Mm-hmm. With the whole thing in the breakout tournament, getting his spot stolen by Lexis King. And then I thought maybe they were going to maybe put him with Eddie Thorpe and kind of make a little bit of a tag team there. Nothing really overly impressed me about the guy, but he was like one of those like, okay, he's new, he's raw. Let's give him some time to develop. Were you a little surprised about him?
Yeah, like you said, he had just been used in the breakout tournament. And you hadn't really heard about him much before that. He's not a person that, I don't watch Level Up every week. I try to catch up on it when I can, but I'm not a diehard Level Upper or anything like that. But I don't even remember seeing him a ton on there. So I don't really know how long he's been around. So it's kind of, usually they kind of give guys a shot and kind of let them develop a little bit. But it seems like they kind of gave up on this guy pretty quick. I wonder if he was kind of, I don't know if he kind of gave the idea that he wasn't kind of in it for the long term. So they just kind of cut bait while they could and ran. But, yeah, like you said, it's kind of surprised just because he had been used somewhat recently. I don't know if that was, I don't know I don't know how recent that was, but I think it was at least 3 or 4 months ago. But yeah, definitely not one I was expecting.
All right. So we have a bunch of other names that I didn't even know, but Vlad Pavlenko, Ezekiel Balogun, Kia Saint. And then we had a few people that were on that Next Gen show. I think it's on Tubi. Almost like
it's on the Roku channel.
Actually. Roku channel. Sorry, I get those two mixed up. Daryl Mason, Emma Diaz, Keyshawn LaFleur, and Julian Baldi. And then this last name, this is not something I think the old man would have done, but Gable Steveson was released. You kind of think, and it's like, God, imagine if they had released Mark Henry when he was still young and was green and wasn't developing as fast when they signed him to that humongous, I think they signed him to a 10-year deal off the bat. So I was a little surprised, and considering that his brother, who I'm not a big fan of either, Damon Kemp, is still around. So, were you shocked on the Gable Steveson release?
Maybe just because of how much they hyped him to start off with, but you've heard all the rumors that he's not developing as much as or as quickly as they kind of want him to. Those have been floating around for a while, and obviously he hasn't had but the one match with Baron Corbin, and it was pretty bad. A lot of assholes will blame that on Baron, but I really don't think it was his fault. But I just don't know if it was in his heart. I did read a story that if he had gotten released a few weeks earlier, he possibly could have competed in the Olympic trials and maybe made the Olympic team again. But they released him when he did, so it was too late. And now he's not a WWE superstar, and now he can't be in the Olympics either. So kind of a bum rap for him, but he's not the best guy from all the rumors around, so you can't feel too bad for him, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, with these amateur wrestlers, I mean, look, they're, Kurt Angle is not everybody's going to be Kurt Angle. I mean, maybe you'll get a Shelton Benjamin, maybe you'll get Brock, or who knows, but and Brock is up there too, obviously with Kurt, but. Yeah, I mean, just because they're Olympic heroes and everything doesn't mean it's going to work out. I mean, look at Chad Gable, who took him a while. I mean, to connect. It was really, the wrestling, the match stuff was there. It was really the personality thing, which is something you can't really teach. I mean, you can kind of guide either, but either you have it or you don't. Either it's going to come out of you or it's not. So, Yeah, I mean, I was kind of one of those like, yeah, well, okay, well, great. He Olympic gold medalist again, and let's see what he does, and
he never really did anything.
never really did anything. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is we got this. It happened tonight, the combines. So they had, we'll talk about it on our next episode. It was I think 20 women competed in the combines, and the top 12 were going to move on to compete in singles matches and single elimination, and then the 6 winners were going to move on, I believe, to a ladder match at the next PLE event for NXT. So who do you think? Because I know there's a couple of surprise names in there. Not surprised, but Ivy Nile is competing in it. Michin, who's been on NXT the last couple of weeks. But who are your kind of like early favorites to be the inaugural NXT North American Women's Champion?
I with recently Fallon has turned on Thea. I could, with her being kind of a new heel, kind of it all being about her now, I could see her being somebody that they could strap up with it. She's been there a while. She's done some good stuff. She's not the best out there, but she definitely, I think, especially with this new heel character that she's playing, she can maybe do some good stuff with that. But she's good in ring. She's somebody that I could see winning it. If they wanted to give it to a face, I mean, Kalani's super over. I think they could give it to her.
Thea, Saul, maybe even.
Yeah. Ariana Grace, I could see winning it just to be, add on top of her Miss NXT stuff. So there's really a ton of choices, honestly. But I'd probably go with Fallon as maybe my favorite since she recently had the heel turn,
or even Lash Legend too.
Yeah, I was if Lash is in there. Yeah, they've used her a lot lately. So and they could kind of use that to, I don't know if she's really splitting with the metaphor, but they've kind of teased that she may kind of do her own thing the last month or so. So I could definitely see her winning as well.
All right. So the last thing we're going to do is we're kind of going to break down the roster, kind of go through it, not spend a ton of time on everybody, just kind of give like some thoughts on like where we see them maybe going and how long, maybe the champions will hold their belts. And yeah, kind of, and then we're going to, get back to our regular scheduling format next week. So next episode, sorry. So we have our current NXT champion, Trick Williams, who recently just won the belt from Dragunov. I could see Trick holding it for a while. I mean, I don't see him coming up to the main roster anytime soon. Like, maybe we get him in the Rumble in January, but I think he's gonna hold the belt for a while because I have no idea who the hell could even take it right now off of him because of kind of how the people who have just left. So they need to like start elevating some people. I think Noam Dar is probably going to be his next challenger.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Trick and how you see him panning out over the next 6 months to a year?
Yeah. And yeah, him and Ilya's match was great when he won the belt. It was, Trick had to put his NXT career on the line. Obviously, when that kind of stuff happens, it's usually kind of unless that person's obviously going to the main roster or something like that. It usually is a pretty good sign that he's going to walk away with the belt. So glad to see him finally win the championship. He needed to be the person that took it from Ilya. He was the most over guy on the roster. But yeah, you kind of struggle looking at the roster who's going to be the person to beat him. So yeah, I do think he will have it for a long time just so they can build that next contender. Like you said, I'm pretty sure on the episode that's happening tonight, they kind of showed that Noam was going to be his first challenger because they hadn't had a match previously. So I think Noam gave him a pretty good fight. So, but we'll talk about a few other guys that I would think Mike could probably compete with him in the future. But, Obafemi maybe once he loses the North American Championship could be somebody that challenges him and maybe beats him. But that, so they're going to have to build somebody is what I'm trying to say, I guess. But Trick is a good champion. I think he'll have some good matches throughout. But he definitely think he'll hold it a while.
All right. Roxanne Perez, our NXT Women's Champion. I think she's main roster bound.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, if she's still on NXT by the Rumble, I would be surprised. Right? I think I don't know. Again, another person, I don't know who she's going to lose it to. We could see, something shake out. Who knows? But I really do. She was one of those, like, when you see her, you're like, she's this little plucky baby face. Didn't think she could be a heel, but she's been pulling it off pretty well. I do enjoy it. She faced Chelsea on tonight's episode. Again, we'll talk about it. And, I had it on while we were recording, and it was a good match. So I definitely see her, at the longest, she holds the belt maybe through the summer, maybe till the PLE around SummerSlam. But I definitely, there's the main roster is in her future, not so far off. So, what do you think about Roxanne?
No, yeah, she'll be a great champion. She'll have some great matches. Like you said, again, not real sure who they'll have beat her. Maybe some of those names we mentioned for the North American might, ascend, maybe change sides a little bit, maybe go face or heel or whatever. But yeah, I definitely think she holds it through the summer, maybe loses it in like September, October, and goes to the main roster from there. But yeah, I struggle to kind of figure out who's going to beat her, but I'll be excited to see maybe who they elevate throughout the next few weeks and months.
Yeah, she may hold it long enough for somebody to come back from an injury. Who knows? All right, so we got Oba Femi as our NXT North American champion. I like the guy. I was a little surprised they put the NXT North American title on him as soon as they did. Mm-hmm. I feel he's a little green. He still has work to do. I mean, he's been performing well, but he's not ready for the main roster at all. I think he's good and he's going in the right direction. But definitely could see somebody like even Wesley, who just returned, maybe him taking the belt off of him. Maybe they give Ivar, who's been hanging out in NXT lately, a little singles run, championship run for a little bit. I mean, maybe Briggs, who's been putting in the work. So yeah, he's got a lot of potential challengers. So what are you thinking about Oba for the next 6 months to a year?
Yeah, like you said, he has a lot more feasible challengers than I feel like Trick does at this point. So yeah, like I think he's been really good in his role. They haven't overexposed him. I think he had a great performance at Stand and Deliver. So he's done nothing but impress me so far. Like I said, they haven't really put him in a match where he would be, exposed for lacking any kind of skills. He's a powerhouse. He kind of gets in and gets out and, kicks ass. But yeah, Wesley just coming back, he could be somebody that takes the belt from him eventually. Maybe they do one of those where he loses the first time and gets him the second time. But yeah, I think he has quite a few challengers. Briggs, like you said, could face him again. If Gacy hangs around, he could be somebody that faces him once and gives him a match at a PLE or something like that. But yeah, he's the guy that I feel like has a lot more competition than maybe Trick does at this point, because they're really just going to have to elevate people and hope that they kind of hit with Trick, and Trick's going to have to be at his best at all times.
Yeah, or maybe a multi-man match he could lose it in. Yeah. All right. So we got our NXT Tag Champions, Axiom and Nathan Frazier. Lots of teams out there. Some of them, better than others, but they definitely do have a somewhat of a decent, tag team. Maybe Gallus will get a little run here because I know they dominate basically NXT UK, and they haven't done as much here. But yeah, I could see them holding it for a little bit, but the tag titles are, not titles that usually have tremendously long reigns. Usually they're the ones that will get hot potatoed more than others, or people will have teams will have a couple of month run this month. So we could see that here in NXT. I do like the team though. I really enjoy them. They just give them a team name. That's all.
Give them a damn name. They're great tag team champions. I could see them holding it for a bit. I could also see them losing it before too long at the same time. So there's definitely plenty of tag teams out there. I don't know if there's a team that's better than they are per se. That I can think of off the top of my head that would beat them right now. But there's a ton of teams, and they keep adding more and more teams as we go along the way. So there's a lot of teams on the roster for sure. But again, they're going to have to build some of these teams. If a Chase U or a No Quarter Catch Crew or like you said, Gallus, if those aren't the teams that are going to beat them, they're going to have to start building some of these guys. We have Tank and Hank. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be tag champions anytime soon. But
you got OTM. You got a few others. We'll talk about.
Yeah, you got OTM. Like
I mean, and you got others that make an appearance, like the Good Brothers or,
True.
The AOP have come down recently. All right, so we got Charlie Dempsey, our NXT Heritage Cup champion. I like him. He really has to. I really want him to improve though on his mic skills and his personality. I mean, I know it's kind of like it's no bullshit. That's kind of the gimmick over there with the No Quarter Catch Crew. But they need to be not so dull and wooden when they talk, which I think is Charlie's problem. I mean, he look again. His dad. He's a legacy. And he's going to learn more from his father. Obviously, he learned a lot of the mat stuff from his dad, but he's got an upside. But the Heritage Cup, I'm kind of like, I mean, I've warmed up to it more than I have when they started doing it over here. But I still think it's okay. It's something different, and I appreciate that. So, what do you think of Charlie Dempsey?
Yeah, he definitely has upside. I think with Gulak out of the way, they should probably give Regal to these guys just to be a mouthpiece, just to kind of put them over, and get them that next little push that they probably need. Give them a guy that can kind of talk for them, kind of hype them up and stuff like that. Not that Gulak was that, but I think Regal could be that. You could see it the other way and be like, oh, well, his kid's never going to get over because if he does, it's only because Regal's with him and stuff like that. But I think it can only help with the development of these guys in the No Quarter Catch Crew, but especially with Charlie. I've enjoyed him a lot more than you have, but I do get that he doesn't quite have the mic stuff down, but I think if he's paired with his dad for a while, it could only benefit him.
Yeah, it's not long term. I agree with you. All right. We talked about the D'Angelo family a bit. Rizzo, I see potential in. She's still fairly green. I like the addition of Luca Crucifino to the family. How long this could be going in NXT, because Tony D has been there since kind of the 2.0 start. So he's one of, I guess, the elder statesmen now, so to speak, on the roster. Nothing. You have anything else to add? I know we already talked about them a bit.
Yeah, Rizzo definitely needs to be down there for a lot longer than the rest of the guys do. I think Stax and Tony D are kind of fully formed. Stax could improve in the ring a little bit as well, but I think they're kind of. I think in NXT, I think Stax and Tony D have kind of hit their apex. Luca Crucifino is a good character. He's pretty good in ring. He's not the best or anything like that. But yeah, Rizzo is definitely still green. She looked pretty green in the only couple of matches that she's had. So she definitely needs to be down in NXT for a good little while. But I think if they call the family up, they're probably going to call all of them up, and she'll probably be in a situation where she's mostly managing. And wrestling when they kind of need her to.
Yeah. All right. So we got Chase U, which I'm a little surprised still around. Andre Chase, Duke Hudson, Riley Osborne, Thea Hale. I could definitely see them getting called up at some point. I don't know how Chase U will play to the bigger crowds, but I think they've also kind of taken a little bit of a backseat. They haven't been featured as much. Thea is still being featured, but Andre, Duke, and Riley haven't. So what are your thoughts on Chase U?
Yeah, I could see Duke and maybe Mr. Chase going up and being a tag team in the tag team divisions. Now that they've split the tag belts up, at least on the main roster again. Riley's a good wrestler. He's a good high flyer. But he definitely needs to, be down in NXT, kind of work on his game a little bit. I think Thea, she may not win the ladder match at Battleground for the North American Women's Championship, but I definitely think she's a contender, and she could eventually win it for sure. So I definitely think she has more stories to tell kind of down in this NXT brand, more than maybe Duke and Andre Chase do.
All right. Ariana Grace. I like her character stuff. I think there's a lot going on there. Interested to see where she's going with her angle with Gigi. But I definitely see her. She's her in ring isn't bad either.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's one of those that we could see up on the main roster in the next year to year and a half or so possibly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think her character's great. The stuff she's been doing with Gigi is pretty good, pretty funny. And yeah, like you said, she's not bad in the ring either. So I could see her being around for a while. Eventually contending for some titles. Like I said, maybe she wins the North American Women's Championship as well at Battleground. I could definitely see her winning it. But if not, again, if not there, I could see her winning it eventually, just to kind of put over her Miss NXT character a little bit more.
All right, we got Brinley Reese. We just know her as the high energy girl. She's still new, still green, so I don't think there's much to say on there. We got OTM, Bronco Nemo, Lucian Price, Scripps, and Jada Parker. I'm grouping in there. Now, you had told me Scripps is going to be leaving soon. Is that true?
He's asked for his release, and he will not be renewing his contract. Whatever, I think it expires in like a month or two. So, or maybe even a few weeks. I can't remember exactly what it said, but he'll be out before too long. I'm assuming they'll kind of write him out by having the rest of OTM kind of be over his shit and kind of take him out. So,
yeah, that's usually what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're good. They got potential. Still green, and Jada, same thing. They're still kind of new. They're going to be there for a bit, and just need to improve and get experience. Brooks Jensen, he's a guy that I don't think they really know what they're doing. Like, I was a little surprised he wasn't joining Von Wagner on the unemployment line a little bit. But what do you think we could see from Brooks Jensen?
I think he's a solid wrestler, and I think he's played an all right character throughout his run. He's kind of goofy, but I could definitely see it. I see some potential in him. Like you said, though, he's kind of surprising that if there was going to be a group of releases, that maybe he wasn't one of them. But maybe they pair him back up with Briggs. Probably not, but they could do that at some point. But he has potential, but I just don't really know what I would have him do or what character change I would make him have. But maybe they should have stuck with the Kiana thing for a little bit longer. It made him be the sexy beast in the tights and
the tailor-made man there.
And all that. So yeah, maybe they should have
stuck
with
Vaughn. If they didn't release him, I could have seen him and Vaughn get put together.
Yeah, they could have been a tag team, a good legacy tag team of two guys that, dads wrestled back in the day. So
sometimes that works. Look at the New Age Outlaws, two guys not doing much at the time. They put them together, and all of a sudden, lightning strikes in a bottle. So, all right. So we got.
I'm going to tell everybody you just compared the New Age Outlaws to Von Wagner and Brooks Jensen.
Well, I didn't say that could happen. I know. It's like comparing Gable Steveson to Kurt Angle. It's like you got one end of the spectrum, the other end. All right, so we got Cora Jade, who the poor girl can't stay healthy, because I think that she was going to be probably earmarked to take the title off of Lyra, where she got hurt. Maybe she comes back as a babyface and takes the title off Roxanne. She's not going to be back for a while. It's maybe end of summer, I think, is the timetable for her. But there's a lot of upside with her. I mean, she was funny. She went from this like kind of punky Avril Lavigne skater girl to like this kind of like almost like a glamazon. Like, she definitely had some improvements done. And she, but I think she still has the potential there, and I like her to to try to stay healthy. She's kind of like the Chelsea Green right now, where Chelsea just kept getting hurt. So hopefully that she turns around, because there's actually another person too that has been consistently hurt over the last like year or so.
Yep.
But what do you see for Cora? You see her back hopefully in the next, hopefully within the next few months. I don't know. I forgot how long her injury timetable is total, but
yeah, I mean, end of the summer, maybe at best case scenario, maybe like a September, October, maybe come back. But yeah, I mean, they could do the face thing when she comes back. She could be the person that kind of takes out Roxanne. She's kind of the only person right now that I feel like would be at that level that could do it. Like I said, obviously they're gonna have to they're gonna have to do a lot of building. That's the big thing with NXT right now. That there are champions. They're beatable per se, but they've got to do a lot of building with these contenders and really kind of elevating some people to kind of really, make it seem like, maybe Trick loses the belt, or the tag champs lose the belt, or Obo loses the belt, or, they're going to have to do a lot of building with this roster after this. But yeah, Cora's somebody I could see come back and, definitely contend with Roxanne. But yeah, she's got to stay healthy whenever that does happen. So, yeah.
All right. We got the rest of the no quarter catch crew. Again, I think they're kind of, kind of boring to me. I mean, some stuff happens to them with the D'Angelo family that we'll talk about in our next episode. I mean, they're fine. I don't see them going anywhere anytime soon, like in terms of like going up to the main roster. I think they'll be on there, and they're kind of good foils, like to make charismatic baby faces to make fun of, and kind of be over on them. So I kind of could see them in that kind of role. Anything to add on the no quarter catch crew?
Yeah, I mean, I think Miles and Damon, they'll go as kind of high as Charlie can elevate himself to. Charlie's definitely the star out of that group, without a doubt, for me. Even though he's not quite at star level right now either. But them two are going to be the tag team that kind of follows him around. They'll be the tag guys, and obviously Charlie will kind of be the singles star out of that group. So, yeah, I mean, they'll go as high as I think Charlie can take them.
All right. All right, we got somebody who's been injured for a while, Danny Palmer. I don't think we've seen a lot from her. I mean, it was, she's athletic, she's attractive. We'll see what happens when she comes back. Dante Chen, another guy. I think he was recently on SmackDown and got squashed. Eddie Thorpe, who was featured for a bit, now hasn't really been on TV much, and I think he's starting to come back a little bit.
Yeah. I think he might have had like a minor injury, so he's coming back, and I think he was on Level Up last week, so he could be making his way back.
Idris Inoue and Malik Blade. I mean, they're good in the ring. They have had good matches. One of those teams, like maybe something has to click. Maybe they're the people that they need that heel turn, and maybe give them a manager that'll maybe get them over more. Fallon Henley, I'm interested to see how the heel turn works out for her. I think she'd probably be my pick right now to my favorite to pick to become the first NXT Women's Champion. She's been around also. She's one of those. She's for 2.0 starred. She was one of the kids on at the time. So Gigi Dolan, your beloved Gigi, I do really like her. I do feel like if she goes up to the main roster, I would like to see JC go up and put Toxic Attraction back together. I think they could really. They're better together than they are apart. I think, and if they brought him up, and somehow, the door is not closed. I don't believe with Mandy Rose. If Mandy ever resigns, putting the whole faction back together. this time on the main roster. It could be something.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I think Gigi definitely needs a character change. I think she needs to. I mean, she's doing this stuff with Ariana right now, so that stuff's entertaining enough. But for her to kind of elevate to that next level, I think she definitely needs to either go heel or kind of get paired back with JC and them run roughshod again.
Yeah. We got Hank and Tank. Young guys, can see potential in them.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens with them. I talked about JC. JC's kind of been like that mean girl a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Her thing with Thea was okay. I didn't really love it.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's got kind of like a new one. Jasmine Nix is like kind of her new prodigy. So JC again, one of those, like, I think her and Gigi were really great together, and I would love to see them reteam. So
yeah. And I think JC got her. I think she actually got her nose broken by Theo in that match that they had. So JC's recovering a little bit right now too.
Oh, okay.
I mean, she won't be out long with that injury, but just saying, she might be MIA for a few weeks at least. But yeah, she's somebody that, like you said, she has a kind of a protege now in Jasmine. So could be interesting to see what they do.
All right, we got big body Javier Bernal. Maybe he's a guy that starts getting wins on TV. Who knows? He's talented, in the ring, but he just is one of those guys, like he's a foil, basically.
Yeah, exactly. He's a level up lifer. He's on there almost every week, it seems like. And they've been trying to kind of find him a tag team partner. I feel like that's been his little storyline on there for the last month or so, and he keeps losing with whoever he's paired with. So maybe he'll finally find the guy for him to be to go for the tag belts eventually. But yeah, he's struggling to find him a tag partner. But he's an entertaining enough character, and
yeah,
I think they like him a lot.
All right, so then we got the Metaphor. So we talked about Noam, he's really been killing it character-wise, and he's still good in the ring. We got Mensah, who, one of those guys who was kind of like bland, and then they gave him like a personality finally in this group. So Jakara Jackson, haven't seen enough of her in the ring with her because she had her injuries. Lash seems to be starting to come into her own.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I can definitely see this faction maybe not lasting another 6 months, but we'll see what happens with them.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Lash is going to elevate, and she seems to kind of that it's not really tension, I guess, but it definitely seems like something's up with them and her specifically. Maybe they eventually kick her out, but Noam's good. He's a solid in-ring guy. He might not be the most exciting first contender for Trick, but at the same time, he is a good in-ring guy, and I think he can kind of help guide Trick to a first good match as champion on a big stage. So definitely could be a good one there. I think Mensah is kind of gonna go as high as Noam takes him, kind of with the the No Quarter Catch crew, kind of like I said. They could be a tag division kind of team. I could see them contending with Axiom and Nathan Frazier eventually once he's kind of done with Trick. So, but Jakara, like you said, hadn't seen enough of her to kind of judge because she was there and then she's hurt and now she's kind of back and hadn't really wrestled that much. So, but I definitely think Lash could end up splitting and kind of doing her own thing and elevating.
All right. We talked about Gallus already.
Mm-hmm.
We got Joe Gacy. So there's been rumors he could be part of the rumored Wyatt Six that they've been dropping hints at. I mean, people have been trying to piece together the clues, and people are saying that he could be one of them, which I think, I'm okay with his in-ring. And the character stuff, I think he's really got down. So I don't think he needs to remain in NXT. I mean, if he's going to go up there and be part of the Wyatt Six, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see kind of how that works out and what they end up doing. There's been a lot of rumors floating around. There was like a code at one point, like each letter means a person, and one of them that they elaborated and said it was going to be Gacy or whatever. But Yeah, I mean, he's good. He's good in ring. He may not blow you away all the time, but he can get to that great level in ring for sure. But I definitely think if he's with a group like that, he could play his role really well. So definitely would be excited to see something like that for sure. Bo
right.
Dallas is the, I mean, obviously it's going to be Uncle Howdy or whatever, but Bo Dallas is the leader, is kind of, whatever. But if they use it right and kind of present it right, it could be really interesting.
Yeah. All right. We got Josh Briggs is next. The guy has really come into his own as a single performer.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I could definitely see him, continue to contend and maybe, be main roster bound, within the next year. Definitely see that. Carmen Petrovic, she's shown potential. She's one of the, look, if somebody can she hits the roundhouse kicks probably better than anybody right now.
Exactly.
She's probably, her and Lola are probably the top of the new class, along with Kalani, who are kind of like the next names. Kalani is really showing some fire. She's starting to have more personality. I definitely can see her. She's really improving, and she could be one of the ones that starts to get up to that next level. Lola Vice is kind of, scratched the surface a little bit of that upper level, winning the breakout tournament. I definitely think there's a big upside with her as well. So I think those three women are kind of like your next, your next set of like Tiffany Fallon, Kiana, like who we saw, like they all kind of came in at the same time, and they kind of like the main, they became the main women. So I think I could definitely see the three of them becoming the next in the next set of main women.
They're definitely the future for it, for sure. You could see some of those possibly win that North American ladder match as well. So that's really going to determine where I think a lot of the girls go from there, because whoever wins that obviously will be the champion going forward. But kind of depending on who wins that, that would kind of skew what I thought maybe would happen with Roxanne going forward as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who ends up with that and kind of how that goes. So,
all right. So we got Lexis King, who I think I do like the character work. I do like him being like that kind of shit stirrer. Is he going to be a big fish in a small pond before long? Because I mean, I can maybe see him moving into like a Miz type role at some point, like not the Miz we have now, like that like kind of like that smarmy asshole kind of role on the main roster. Anything on Lexis King?
It's weird to think he hadn't been there too terribly long, but he's almost one of those guys that already doesn't have anything to do unless he's going to be contending for belts. So, but I don't see Lexis beating Oba. I don't see him really contending with Trick. So I don't really see him on the main roster either. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what they do with him over the next like 6 months or so, because he's fine in ring. He's never going to be great, I don't think. I just don't think he has it in him. But he does have the character stuff down pretty good. So hopefully he can put it together and be a big star for the brand. But he'll be an interesting case for sure to kind of see where he goes in the next 6 months or so. If they start kind of elevating him, But yeah, he'll be one to watch for sure.
All right, so we got Meiko Satomura, who's actually on the roster, but we don't see her that often, so we could kind of skip over her. Mr. Stone, I'm not sure where they're going to go with him, whether he just becomes like an authority figure or something possibly going forward. Nikita Lyons, again, somebody else who can't stay healthy for the most part. I do see potential in her, but she's still green.
Yep.
She's definitely very agile for a girl her size. She does air kicks pretty good. So yeah, we got Ridge Holland. I have no idea what the hell they're doing with this guy.
Maybe they should put him and Brooks Jensen together. Maybe they could be a tag team.
Who knows? I don't know. I was kind of digging him and Pete Dunne together for a bit as part of in the Brutes. So I didn't dislike it, but this whole reclamation project they're doing with him, it just doesn't connect with me. I just don't feel anything for the guy.
Yeah, Zanny attacked Gacy at the at Stand and Deliver, so it seemed like he was going heel after kind of retiring and whatever. But now he's kind of back face, so I have no idea. I don't think they know what they're doing with him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. He's a big we'll see.
Sean Spears, love that he returned. Did more in like 2 weeks on NXT than he did all the time he was in AEW. Definitely could see him being like that elder statesman for a while, kind of holding court.
He could be the Corbin kind of the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that definitely would be able to easily transition to the main roster. I think he's just there to kind of get back into the swing of things, back into the fold, kind of work on some character stuff, and then before long he'll probably be back on the main roster. Although I don't think he ever came up really as Ty Dillinger, right? He was in a Rumble.
Kind of, but not really. Yeah. I think he got called up, but he never really did much.
We got Saul Ruka, who's back from her injury. I got to tell you, that match she had with Blair Davenport, where she changed up hitting the Snow Snatcher off, like kind of like just not in the corner, off the ropes. I mean, it was pretty damn great.
She hit it on the damn boogie board.
I know. I mean, the timing on that, you got to give some of the credit to Blair too. But I was happy that it wasn't like reliant to have to be in the corner. That it was like Soul Snatcher out of nowhere kind of thing.
No, yeah, that was super incredible, and that match was really good. It was the beach brawl or whatever they called it. That they played in the ball pit at one point and stuff like that. So that one's always an interesting one that they bring out on Spring Break-In. So, but yeah, she has a ton of potential. She is still green in the long run. She is still coming back from an injury, so we'll see how quickly they kind of push her, but she's definitely a star of the future, I'd say, if she can put it all together. She has the finisher for sure. She has the look. She's very athletic, so she could maybe be a kind of Tiffany. Tiffany was a real good athlete when she started out. She eventually got the character stuff down pretty good, so maybe she could be another really good person like her. So we'll see.
Oh, yeah. I definitely could see it. All right, Stevie Turner, who was kind of getting some fanfare, some vignettes, but wasn't on TV that long. I definitely could see her being somebody who is going to move into that Blair Davenport slot, I think, and start to get featured quite a bit more. I mean, she's been seen in some of the locker room things, and she's been on Level Up, but I definitely see the little I saw from her. I did like. So let's see what happens. Anything on Stevie Turner?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the little hacker promo things that she was doing, and then she was on TV for a good bit after that, and I guess she got hurt or something, or they just kind of tried to change directions for her and just hadn't come up with anything else yet. But yeah, she seems like she definitely has potential. She was in UK. She was pretty good there, but I think she kind of came in towards the end when it was kind of in its dying days. So, but yeah, I mean, I think she's still very young and has some potential.
All right, Tatum Paxley, probably one of the most improved over the last 6 months, I would think. Still need to see a little more in ring from her, because a lot of it was mostly being like in that stalker Lyra role. But she held her own though in that triple threat match she had with Lyra and Roxanne. I definitely could see her continuing to elevate, and maybe she challenges Roxanne. Whether she beats Roxanne or not, I don't know, but we could see. So anything on Tatum?
Yeah, I mean, she has the story with Roxanne, with all the stuff with Lyra over the last little while. So, yeah, she could definitely be an immediate challenger for her. Like you said, I kind of don't see her beating Roxanne, but she could definitely contend with her, and maybe she can continue to elevate and get there eventually. But yeah, she definitely has some potential without a doubt.
Yeah, she could be a dark horse in the North American title. Also. Okay, so we got Wendy Chu, who's out injured, and hopefully gets a repackage upon return.
I think she may have just come back on like a Level Up taping, so she is freshly back, but I don't think she hasn't been on NXT TV yet, but I think she's back healthy, but yeah, she is returning from an injury.
All right, we got Wesley, who just returned from an injury. So it looks like he's going to be the next challenger to Obafemi. I think there's a lot of upside. I think Wesley is one of those guys. If he could stay healthy, he won't be in NXT that much longer. I think.
Sky's the limit for him for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we got a few kind of newer ones. Izzy Dame wasn't on the roster page on the WWE website, but she is there. Obviously, she's she was in the combine tonight, so. Definitely, they're still, she's still new, still green. We'll see how she does without Kiana, because she was like a level upper until she became like Kiana's second. So we'll see how she does. We got this kid, Javon Evans, who's been fairly impressive at 19. The way the kid's flying and all that stuff. We'll see how it goes, because he's only been on TV like the last couple of weeks. So. We'll see how that works out. See what kind of personality he might have. What do you think of Javon Evans so far?
No, yeah, he had a match with Ilya before Ilya dropped the title to Trick, obviously. But yeah, he's super impressed. He's kind of the Soul was kind of the she had the cool move, and she was the person on Level Up that everybody kind of had their eyes on because she had the cool move. She was super athletic, could do some kind of crazy stuff. He's kind of the new her. He could do absolutely ridiculous stuff with his dives and his athleticism. So he's definitely a guy to look at in the future. I don't think he's going to get past a certain point for a while, but he's definitely somebody I think that they see some potential in, and could be a big star for them in the future.
Mm-hmm. We got a new tag team, Tyreek Eway and Tyson DuPont. They're kind of like the babyface version of OTM, in a way, because they're very similar.
They even have like the overalls and stuff too. That's like the kind of same outfits and stuff.
Yeah, they're very similar. So I find it interesting that they debuted them this way, because again, athletic guys. Was impressed in their first match against the Good Brothers, which they lost. But they looked okay in the showing. But again, very similar to OTM. So, and they're still really new. Jasmine Nix, she just became, JC's second a few weeks ago or so. So we'll see what happens with her. Ren Sinclair still kind of new. It shows potential. We got a few guys from the breakout tournament. We got Keanu Carver, Tavion Heights, Uriah Connors. Again, these could be people we're talking about in 6 months to a year. I mean, I remember when Carmelo Hayes was in it. I remember a few other people were in the breakout tournament. So we could see what will happen. All right.
Yeah, and Uriah Connors is Fit Finley's kid. So I mean, he could join the catch crew eventually. He could be there with Regal's kid. So. He's really good. He was in GCW before this, so a lot. So he's pretty impressive. So but yeah, all those guys, fairly new, going to be on Level Up for a while, kind of getting their feet under him, learning this WWE style and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
All right. So I don't think I forgot anybody. I mean, that was a pretty thorough list we just went through. So the future's bright for NXT. We're in kind of a transition period. We'll see, who kind of steps up, who gets elevated, and see how it goes from here. I mean, I'm here for the ride because, this is again one of the reasons why we love this brand is because of the turnover. Actually, it's like the roster doesn't stay stagnant, which is what I kind of love here, and we're going to see some new kids, and we're going to see them hopefully perform well. All right. So before we go, though, Logan, what do you have to plug? Your most recent pods, any kind of guest appearances, anything on the YouTube? What do you got?
A whole bunch of stuff, honestly. We're actually launching a brand new feed. Sean Kidd's kind of heading it up. It's going to be called the Backbone Wrestling Network. A lot of my shows are going to end up over there. I'll obviously still have this one here. I will have a new TNA pod actually on the North-South Connection, but Highway to the Impact Zone, Linking Up Luchas, YouTube Roulette, a couple of new shows. It's been an idea of Sean, me, Scott, Scott Shiflett, Jake and Matt for a while, so we're kind of just centralizing all of our shows over there on the Backbone Wrestling Network. So definitely excited to launch that. It should launch on May 19th, I think is the date. I hope Kane doesn't kill us for choosing that date, but definitely looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, if you like hearing my voice, which I can't imagine why you would, but I know some people out there probably would, but a lot of my shows will be there. Like I said, I'll still have this NXT pod here, and then I will have a actually new TNA pod on the North-South Connection. So, and I'll still be on the Talking Docs with Jenny. So I'll be all over the place still, but Backbone Wrestling Network is going to be my main new home going forward.
All right, sounds cool. I wish the best of luck to you guys.
Thank you.
You're all my friends, and I am excited to see how your new venture works out, and I know it'll be a roaring success because, you guys love your wrestling. You're all different eras. You're all different, federations and companies. So, yeah, bringing a lot of a great variety and just the camaraderie that you guys have together. It really shines through on your podcast, and especially, and I experience it firsthand when I'm on with you guys. So, definitely going to check out the Backbone Wrestling feed, Wrestling Network, whatever you guys are going to call it.
Either one.
All right, very cool. As for me, this is my only show here on the Wrestling Network at the moment. Check me out on my main home, which is the PlayStation Pop Experience. Video Jukebox all a day, drops every weekday. Usually do 2 or so a week. Steve, Keithy, and some other guests come in. The most recent one, we did Billy Joel week, so of course we had to have the Podfather come in. And then, just my other shows. Cartoons of Our Youth is returning. Blockbuster Rewatch. We just dropped a new episode, probably, but right before you hear this, it's. I'm continuing on my Star Wars watches, so just did episode 3 with Grooney. So check that out. Yeah, it was. Grooney is fun, man. That's all I gotta say. He's like the court jester of the group. He's a good guy, and he actually knows his Star Wars. So it was a lot of fun to do that show with him. And then,
hey, Andy, I have the high ground.
Oh no, I'm a Jedi, ma'am. No, but yeah, it's fun. And then also the Disney pod. The next episode will be Chicken Little, and Miranda and I are hoping to get back into the swing with the Muppet Pod. So yeah, lots of fun stuff coming there. So continue to check us out. All right, so that's going to bring an end to this episode of Who's Next here on the PlayStation Wrestling Network. For Logan Crosland, I'm Andy Atherton. Thank you for listening, and we'll check you out on our next episode. Take care.